Hi everyone, we are Group 1 and today our presentation is about FIFA scandal, anatomy of sport corruption. Our group member is 蔡豪博、陈江哲、杨哲文、周杰、梁烨、蒋静文、胡诗曼、张雅文、李昂 and 龙爱成. We divided this case study into 4 parts: introduction, case background, discussion and analysis, and conclusion. To begin with, corruption is still one of the most serious global governance challenges. It weakens fairness and transparency, and destroys public trust when public officials misuse their power for personal gain. It doesn't just break the law, it also damages the integrity and accountability that society depends on. A clear example of this is the FIFA corruption scandal. In May 2015, several high-ranking FIFA officials were arrested in Zurich after a U.S. investigation uncovered decades of corruption. These officials were involved in bribery related to the bidding process for major tournaments, marketing rights, and media contracts. Investigators found that millions of dollars in illegal payments were exchanged for influence and votes. Next, we will study this case in detail.
Let's start with the case background. On May 27, 2015, Swiss police arrested several top FIFA officials in Zurich. This was at the request of the FBI and IRS. Around the same time, the U.S. released a report with multiple charges, which showed this had been a long secret investigation. Those involved include FIFA leaders like Jeffrey Webb, Jack Warner, and Horst Marin. Plus, some sports marketing executives were accused of paying bribes to get TV and marketing rights for events. Now let's move to the key people involved. There are basically the groups I just talked about. Those FIFA leaders such as Jeffrey Webb and the sports marketing executives accused of bribes. These are the key figures in this corruption case.
The corruption scandal primarily focused on 2 key areas. First, the voting for the World Cup hosting rights. The elections of Russia for 2010 and Qatar for 2022 were heavily suspected of bribery, despite subsequent investigations revealing numerous irregularities. The hosting rights were not revoked. Second, television broadcasting and marketing rights. For over 2 decades, officials systematically accepted bribes from sports marketing companies to grant rights for major tournaments like the Copa America at discounted prices. The exposure of this case caused a major earthquake in FIFA. This scandal shocked the world and sparked profound reflection. It served as a powerful call for comprehensive reform of the governance structures, transparency, and oversight mechanisms within major international sports organizations.
Next, we talk about the causes of this scandal. First, centralized, unaccountable leadership. Power was locked in a small clique, like Sepp Blatter's 17 years tenure. Top officials bypassed rules, handed high-stake contracts to allies and slides decide with zero oversight. Second, systemic financial opacity. FIFA's budget and media rights deals were shorted in centuries. Of the book's transactions, filmed millions, others were delayed or redacted, and key financial records stayed hidden from the public. Third, intense political or economic pressures in World Cup bidding. Nations forgot for the tournament by often lavish incentives from infrastructure investment for cash grabbers and personal favors for FIFA officials. Finally, cultural normalization of informal payments. In global sport diplomacy, gifts and kickbacks become unspoken negotiation norms. This routine corporate exchange eroded exist over time, letting the scandals fester for the decades. These four factors feed into each other to escalate the resists accuracies.
Today, we will break down the legal framework and key punishments of the FIFA corruption case. First, regarding the legal basis for prosecution, U.S. authorities relied on the RICO Act and anti-money laundering laws, targeting sports-related racketeering, bribery, linked fraud, and money laundering. Second, formal indictments and convictions. Dozens of FIFA officials were charged, and many were convicted of racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering conspiracies. Third, FIFA's internal penalties. Beyond legal charges, FIFA Independent Ethics Committee handed down harsh internal punishments, including lifetime bans and fines, barring those involved from all football-related activities. Finally, cross-border corruption. U.S. and Swiss authorities corruption closely, with Swiss police arresting defendants and both sides coordinating on asset freezing and evidence collection to advance the case. That's the core content.
Impact and implications. The FIFA corruption scandal has far-reaching consequences beyond the downfall of individuals or officials, profoundly impacting individuals, organizations, and nations. For individuals, the case directly altered the fate of numerous football executives. Dozens of high-ranking officials, including former President Sepp Blatter, were dismissed, banned, or even faced criminal charges. This serves as a stark warning to sport administrators that power must be subject to oversight. For the organizations, FIFA's reputations plummeted. Facing an unprecedented crisis of credibility, this systematic corruption faced FIFA to launch difficult governance reforms aimed at increasing transparency, but the road to rebuilding trust is long and arduous. The case severely damaged FIFA's business partnerships and brand value. For nations, especially those bidding to host the 2018 and 2020 World Cups, the fairnesses of their success process were globally questioned, damaging their national images. The unprecedented cooperations between law enforcement agencies in the US, France, Italy, and other countries during the investigations reshaped the international anti-corruption landscapes.
Today, I'm going to talk about the key reforms FIFA introduced to improve governance and reduce corruption. In the first part of my presentation, I will focus on the first three measures. First, FIFA introduced a term limit so that leaders cannot stay in power for too long. In the past, some leaders stay in their positions for many years, which created opportunities for personal influence and control. By limiting how long someone can stay in office, FIFA encourages leadership rotation and reduces the chances of corruption. Secondly, FIFA created independent ethics on the audit committees. These committees operate separately from top leaders, which means they can investigate misconduct and review financial activities more fairly. This independence helps ensure that decisions are made without internal pressure and improves the credibility of the process. Third, FIFA improves transparency by publicly sharing executive salaries and major financial transactions. When financial information is open to the public, it becomes much harder to hide illegal payments or suspicious deals. This step increases accountability and makes the financial system clearer.
Next, FIFA started working with Interpol and Transparency International to strengthen monitoring. By collaborating with this external organization, FIFA can detect suspicious activities early and conduct investigation in a more professional and independent way. This cooperation help improve the trustworthiness of the oversight system. Finally, FIFA introduced integrated education and whistleblower protection to improve the organization's internal culture. The integrated program teaches members about responsible and honest behavior, while whistleblower protection gives people a safe way to report wrongdoing without fear. This helps create a more open and ethical environment. Overall, this effort shows FIFA's effort to become more transparent and responsible. They represent an important step toward rebuilding global trust and ensuring fairness in international football.
Today, I will briefly highlight the main lessons we can learn from the FIFA corruption scandal. First, the case shows that when too much power is concentrated in the hands of a few leaders, corruption can grow quietly for many years. This reminds us that organizations must create proper checks and avoid long-term control by a small group. Second, transparency is essential. Many financial decisions inside the FIFA were hidden, which made bribery difficult to detect. Clear records and open audits are key to protect integrity. Third, organizational culture plays a major role. In FIFA, informal payments and personal favors slowly became normal. This shows that rules alone are not enough. An ethical culture must be built and reinforced. Another important lesson is the need of international corruption. The investigation worked only because multiple countries shared evidence and traced the financial flows together. Finally, the case teaches that reform should be continuous, not just a reaction after a scandal. Regular reviews and strong enforcement are necessary to maintain long-term trust. In short, the FIFA scandal shows that integrity depends on transparency, responsible leadership, and a culture that consistently supports ethical behavior.
Hello everyone, my name is Cai Haobo. Today I will summarize the FIFA corruption scandal. The FIFA corruption scandal severely damaged the trust in global soccer. Key officials were removed, and the World Cup bidding process lost credibility. So what caused them? This happened because power was too concentrated. Financial dealings were hidden, and the culture allows corruption to thrive. In response, FIFA introduced reforms like term limits, independent oversight, and the financial transparency. Legal actions include U.S. prosecutions and cross-border corporations hold wrongdoers accountable. The last thing I want to say is the FIFA scandal told us that integrity requires transparency, accountability, and a strong ethical culture. It's a reminder that continuous forms, not just reaction, is essential to uphold trust in global sports. Thank you.